Welcome to the Founders Forum podcast, brought to you by the Foxwell Founders, where we interview some of the hottest minds in D2C right now and deep dive on their area of expertise. Everyone that we interview here is a cherished member of our Foxwell Founders community of over 550 advertisers worldwide and are at the cutting edge of what is working right now. I hope you enjoy this, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Andrew at Foxwell Digital. And now let's get stuck into this week's episode. Here are Edwin and Tris, our hosts.
Three best ways that we've ever seen to deal with this is
it's one of the things that's working really, really well for our agency right now.
Question of the week, right?
He's going to spill all the tea on TikTok for us. What is the oh wow strategy of the moment? If it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Who buys it even at that time, right?
Welcome back, guys. We got another one for you. Today we have Courtney Fritz. She is the full package when it comes to everything creative, everything TikTok. She's been in the business for 13 years, which is a lifetime. She's going to tell us all about what's working with TikTok right now. A lot of you guys know her from Foxwell Founders. She answers the questions. Tris, kick us off.
Nice one. Well, welcome, Courtney. First one, I suppose I want to hear all about it, right? TikTok Shops is killing it right now. We're hearing so much that it's working for different clients. Like they're seeing some really, really good results from it. Tell me, are you seeing TikTok Shops working for you? And what are people in the community saying about TikTok Shops?
Yeah, TikTok Shops is all the talk right now. And whether you're just scrolling TikTok as a user or as an advertiser, TikTok Shops is really where it's at. And if there's a brand that I have that can be successful there or has the ability, just like the types of products to be successful there, I'm really trying to push them to get on Shops and test it out and really try to scale there. I think the biggest thing with Shops is that like it's very specific to what types of products will be successful on Shops, just because of the nature of TikTok and the way that people, they're just wanting to like buy things quickly. The nature of Shops too, there's not a super intuitive way to have lots of like SKUs, lots of variants, sizes, colors. So Shops is not for everyone. And I think that's like really important to call out and know that like it's okay if Shops isn't for your brand. I also have some brands that do like customization type products, and that can't be done on Shops right now. And that's just that the interface doesn't work for that. So know that it really needs to fit your brand. But for brands that have a few SKUs or have very direct products that don't have too many variants, it can be such a good place to expand and test. Launched a brand. They had their brand new company, started them about 7-8 months ago. Started on TikTok ads to their D2C site. They did okay. We broke even. It was good. Drove a lot of traffic to their Amazon site, which is a whole other conversation of TikTok driving to Amazon and not being able to track it. So know that that does happen. People leave TikTok and go buy it on Amazon for the free shipping all the time. But when we launched on TikTok, I do it. I know. But when we launched on TikTok Shop for that brand, it just took off. TikTok Shops is really for impulse buys and intuitive. Oh yeah, if this, then this, problem solution. I need it now. TikTok Shops has done a really good job with like trying to get people to convert on the platform with like coupons. Meta Shops did the same thing a few years ago. Yeah. And so I think like, you know, if you have a product and a brand that is capable and like makes sense to be on TikTok Shop, maybe it's like less than 10 or 15 products, you have an organic presence, you have the ability to make a lot of content or get a lot of content. I think that's the biggest challenge with TikTok and TikTok Shops is just like, you got to be a content machine. It needs so much content to be fed. So if you can do that, you need to test it out.
I was going to say, it seems like a lot of our conversations at the moment are happening where it all comes back to content. If you're talking about Meta, you're talking about anything with even Google at the moment, looking at YouTube Shops, that as a potential to come down the line. But with TikTok Shops, I mean, this is the one thing that I as a millennial in me is looking, going, where's the trust? The people don't even care about trust anymore. They don't look at it and go, oh, should I be putting my card into this? They're just straight in. They're like, buy, done. They don't even worry about losing their card details. Like it seems like that's not a problem anymore.
I feel like there are some people that I've seen, I've gotten into a weird algorithm on TikTok of people who are like, I'm not going to buy on Shops. Stop giving me Shops ads. And some people are slow to really buy into things. And I think that's a really small subset of people who are just not willing to do that. But that's going to be on any technology, just people who are like not willing to do that. But I think for the most part, like at least for me too, one, I needed to get on TikTok Shops and buy things because I needed to know what the customer like experience looked like, what the, you know, if I had to return something, what the emails looked like. I needed to know that process. But also the coupons were so good. Like they started last like fall, summer. And I'm like 40% off. Like, yeah, get that in my cart now. Like the amount of advice I've made and like called it like a work expense, you know, just because I needed to learn. Like TikTok makes it so easy that it's really a no-brainer to like literally you can click I think twice and have it done, you know. And so making it so easy is really like what we are trying to do as marketers for consumers right now. Take out all of the friction from, hey, you have a problem. You may not have known you have a problem, but you have a problem. Here's the solution. Here's how to fix it. And here's the cost. And it's like, the more that we can make this a no-brainer for people in marketing, the better. We don't need like, and some products have a really long conversion window, and like that's okay because some products do. But I think for TikTok Shops, it's really, at least for now, it's really like that impulse buy, that no-brainer, that like, yeah, I for sure need this. Everyone's talking about it. Some FOMO. Like that's really where TikTok Shops is really like doing so well and excelling right now.
Interesting.
And so for problem solution e-commerce brands, right? So you're saying if I have a couple SKUs, I'm a problem solution e-commerce brand. TikTok Shops for sure is where I need to start trying. What about fashion brands? So what about fashion lifestyle brands? Is it still worth the try? What are the benchmarks that you're seeing for that side of e-com?
Yeah. I mean, I will always say it depends and like let's test it. Those are like my two favorite things in marketing to say. And I feel like anyone who doesn't lean into it depends and let's try it out, I feel like you're like missing out so much of marketing. Like I need that on like a hat or a shirt, you know? But like every brand is so different. I think with like a fashion brand or something like that, having so many SKUs and variants is hard. Because right now in TikTok Shops, everything, every item, every variant has to be a separate product. They don't have the ability to have one product with like 10 variants. And with fashion, you would have sizes, right? So right now, I think it's a little bit harder. But one thing that I'm testing with one of my brands, it's a dog collar company. And so they have sizes for dog collars. And so what we're doing is we're choosing the top 3 products. So the top 3 colors or designs, and then providing those in all the sizes to test out to say like, you know, can TikTok Shops be successful for us, even though they have thousands of variants based on harnesses, collars, leashes, and bundles. And so with TikTok Shops, the way that it's just set up, that's not going to work exactly for them. But I still think it's worth testing. And then if people want more, they could always like navigate themselves to the site.
So that's interesting. You're using that as like a discovery tool, almost like a kind of almost how some people are using Amazon in a way, because they don't want people necessarily converting on Amazon, but they can use Amazon ads if they've got a couple products there. So they're doing the same thing in TikTok Shops. We went straight in here. We started talking about how amazing TikTok Shops is and what we could do and how you can change the game. And I'm a brand. Okay, I've sold a couple 100,000 last year on Shopify. I've got my Meta ads running. That's good. And I've got my inventory orders sorted. Where do I start? How do you start on TikTok Shops? Obviously, you have to have a TikTok account and a business account. Talk us through that.
Yeah. So you have to have an account, have a business account. You need to create a business center, create an ad account, add a payment method, link your TikTok to your Shopify. There's an app on Shopify. Connect those. Make sure you have a pixel, and then follow through the process of connecting your catalog from Shopify to TikTok. With TikTok Shops specifically, the ads do have to be posted to the organic account, and everything has to be a Spark ad. So you can't like launch a shop ad as an ad only. You could post it to the account, to the TikTok account, and like set it up as like ad only. But as an ad buyer, you can't build it like on your computer in Business Center. You have to build it on the TikTok app. So that's something to keep in mind. Gotcha. But I think one of the most important things when you're starting TikTok ads or TikTok Shops or your TikTok account, you have to have a content flow. You have to know how you're going to be getting and making and posting the content. TikTok's one campaign, $100. We need like 10 pieces of content, and like even at $100 a day, we need at least like 2 to 3 new pieces of content a month. So we need to know how we're getting that. You know, are we reaching out to creators? Are you making it in-house? Am I making it? Am I reaching out to creators? Are you reaching out to creators? Are we using influencers? are we sending out products? All of those things take time and they also take money. So it's like, are we going to seed creators? We have to send them content, or we have to send them the product. We have to send them a brief. They have to film the content. They have to edit the content. They have to send it back. We have to approve it, and then we can make an ad. And so having this plan is so important with TikTok, because the creative is going to fatigue faster than meta ads. So if you've only done meta ads, you know that you could have an ad. I have ads that are running for longer than a year that are 18 months old, and they're just crushing. Yeah. When you get a really good ad, that can happen, and that's great.
My record on that was 24 months or something.
That is 24 months.
That's amazing, but that's not unheard of. That happens in Meta. But with TikTok, you could have an ad that's just crushing, and it just fatigues, and you need more stuff to test people. And the way that people are just using TikTok, and it's just swipe, 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 swipe. You have to have more content, and TikTok frequency I've found is much lower than Meta. On TikTok, it's very rare to get the same ad twice.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So different brands will have different ways of getting content flow, right? So let's say if you were the brand, and let's say you were a 20 to 30K brand, and you're about to go into it yourself, how would you set up the content flow? And then on the flip side, if you're a $100,000 to $250,000 brand, how would then you set up your content flow, knowing what you know now?
Yeah. So there's definitely ways to kind of seed and find creators. I've been using trend.io.
Okay.
It's much better than I'm sure we all used Billo back in the day, and I found the quality is much better. Yeah. So I've been using that. You buy credits, and then you put out a brief, people apply, creators apply for the brief, and then you accept it or deny them, and then you send them a product. That's been good. In the Foxwell membership, we have Mariah Lukashwitz, who is our creative matchmaker. And so that's a new service that we have for this year, where you can reach out to her. For me, I create content for a lot of my clients. If it's a product that I don't know, balding hair growth serum, I for sure couldn't do that. But if it's a product that I can resonate with, then I will create content. Also going to their organic Instagram or their organic TikTok and seeing who is tagging them. If there's any posts on their hashtag or that's tagged their account, that's a good way to do it.
How do you actually DM them, be hey, I'd love to use more of this content?
Yeah, so you can literally just go on to Instagram and comment and be hey, I love this. Can we use this? Also, I use the app. It's called Archive.ai. It's a Shopify app where you can sync your accounts, and then you can send a canned message that'll DM them if you connect your accounts, and you could be hey, can we use this piece of content? Respond with hashtag yes, brand name, whatever, and then it'll go into a folder on your archive. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and I think content is such a roadblock for so many people. But I would say for any brand owner, don't be afraid to make it yourself. I know it sounds scary getting in front of a camera, but I'm sure we've all FaceTimed before and held a phone. It's 2024. We've probably all held our phone up and looked at ourselves on our screen. And so I know it's scary, but people want to hear authenticity. They want to know the brand. If it's a small business, that they want to know that. A lot of people want to support small businesses. And I have a client, and I'm trying to get it's two brothers who own the company, and I'm trying to get them to be on camera. They have small kids, they have pets. People love kids and pets, and they love small businesses. And so it's just get on here and talk about it. And worst case scenario, it's not good. But I bet we can, clip out some really good pieces. I bet we could use it at a mashup. I bet we can, get more comfortable and get better at it. But there's just so many options, and content is it's such a hard thing. But it's also very endless. Anyone can make content. That's kind of the beauty of TikTok, is that everyone can be a content creator. Just be authentic. I think that's really what's selling right now. But also just I feel that's not something that's going to go away. Is people want authenticity. They want to see a video of what exactly they're going to get whenever it shows up at their door. This is exactly what it looks like. This is exactly how it works. This isn't polished. It's entertaining, but
it's a team.
Yeah.
It's the idea of I can see this is what I'm going to get. I know I'm not paying that much, but I know what I'm getting. I'm not going to be getting I'm buying a Ferrari for $5, but it's default.
People don't want to be surprised when it shows up at their door. They want to get it and be this is so cool. This is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to just try to make the content. As an ad buyer, I didn't mean to get into content. When I started ad buying, I had a client send product and was oh, well, since you're doing our ads, here's some product just so you can have it. And I was like, this is kind of cool. Like,
Yeah.
let me try to make something and like see what happens. And then it just so happened that like my creative started working and I was like, oh, like let me look at this data and see what my thumb stop was like. Let's try a different hook and just kind of realize like pretend like you're talking to like your sibling on FaceTime. Not your mom, because sometimes you gotta like button up a little bit, you know, and be like, Mom, I'm doing great, even if you're not doing great. But like it's like when you talk to your sibling, talk to your best friend, and it's like, hey guys, I got this product and it is so cool. I have to show you. This is what my life was like before the product. This is what my life was like after the product. It is a game changer. Changed my life. I love it so much. Here's how you can get it. Check it out.
Love that. And
There's
then
an ad.
straight away, it's like, boom, here's the shop ad. Take the people, and then you're
Yeah.
saying 2 clicks, that person has the same thing, and life's good. Everyone's happy. That's amazing. And so, Courtney, just, I mean, taking things back. Sorry again. So, Courtney, taking things back a little bit. I mean, we're talking about creative. We're talking about TikTok Shops itself. So, just talking about the numbers behind TikTok Shops, because there's a huge drive towards this, and we're seeing a lot of people say, well, with Meta, we're seeing people saying, well, they would have bought that anyway. There's a big conversation around top of funnel and where you should be spending, et cetera, et cetera. With TikTok Shops, what's working at the moment when it comes to actual running the ads? Is it a conversion-based ad? Is it a value? Like, well, what are you seeing actually working? Like, how does that work in the back end? Is it just one ad campaign or a campaign type? Or talk to us more about that.
Yeah, I find with TikTok, it's much more consolidated than even Meta, even though we are talking about like consolidation on Meta as well. I've tested both value and conversion. They're both pretty good. I think it's more dependent upon the brand itself. So like if the brand is like a little bit of a higher AOV, then maybe value would be better. But if it's a little bit of a lower impulse buy, then maybe conversion would be better. But I've done like maybe 4 or 5 A/B tests with different accounts of like value versus conversion, like solid scientific A/B tests. And they've pretty much all been the same and they've both been good. So maybe that's just like a nuance to my account. Maybe I'm just a wonderful ad buyer. But that's probably that. But that's probably like if, yeah, I would just say like it depends on like the brand and like what you think your customers are looking for. Are they more likely to buy multiple products? Are they more likely to be in that higher AOV range, or are they more likely just to make like a one-time impulse buy? What is your like free shipping threshold? That could be a good thing. One thing to think about too with TikTok, unlike Meta, I know Meta reps will tell you to do like reach campaigns and view content campaigns and traffic campaigns, and like don't ever do that. Like you should not do that. You know, reps are always just like, give us your money, give us your reach. Reach is great, and no, don't run reach campaigns unless you're spending over $3 million a month. Don't do reach campaigns. But on TikTok, however, when you kind of going back to our conversation about when you're getting started on TikTok ads, TikTok, differently than Meta, you really do need to like build the algorithm. And TikTok reps do suggest starting with view content, then going to add to cart, then going to purchase. And that actually is what I've found is like the best practice for starting TikTok ads. Because like TikTok just seems to need so much more data than Meta does. And it also has so much more data in terms of videos, because Meta has a million different things you can do on the app or on Facebook, on Instagram. You know, it's not just Reels or it's not just the feed, but it's like Facebook Marketplace. And if you're on desktop, there's a side thing, and then there's the feed, and then there's stories, and then there's Reels, and then there's all these things. But with TikTok, you got one feed.
Yeah.
You have the feed. And so there's a lot of video data you can get from there, but you actually do need to start with add to cart, get 50 conversions in a week, and then you can promote to initiate checkout, and then you can promote
50. Because that's different with in Meta and Facebook ads. That a lot of the things are like, oh, you have to have 50 conversions, but it's really like 15, 20, and you get away with that. And it starts to get out of learning. I mean, we'll go into that debate, but you start to get performance from that, but you don't change the optimization. You go straight for purchase, and the way you go with this, you're saying you go view content, then you add to cart, then you purchase. Is that right?
Wait, is that still because we started like that, but now we just go straight for the kill, and we are like straight into purchase. And so
for even like brand new brands,
you want a shirt that says like it depends. I have a shirt that says YOLO. And so I'm interested to hear, because now at this point we go straight in for the purchase, but you slow roll them. Like,
I do think it's important to like what size the brand is and like how risky they're willing to be. I think
Okay.
that's like a huge, like, it depends, because if they're just like, hey, we have 100K in investor funding that we need to spend in the first month to like try it out, like,
Yeah.
go for it. Then yeah, go for it. Try it. Go straight to purchase. Do both. Like, that's fine. But I think for a lot of my clients is they're either like small spenders, or they're trying to like really test and see if TikTok is a good platform for them, if it's something worth investing in. And I work with a lot of small brands, and I think a lot of my job is like hand holding. Literally had a client email yesterday. It was like, hey, let's get you on TikTok Shops. I think you'd be a great candidate for Shops. You have 3 SKUs, super straightforward, problem solution. Let's do it. And they're like, oh, well, like, I'm really glad that you've had experience doing TikTok Shops before. Like, I'm really like nervous about it. Let's wait. What's like the lowest budget we could start with? And so I think it's really dependent upon how risk averse they are. But for small brands, it actually is weirdly really important, I think, to get those 50 conversions, to really get it to learn. Because when I have A/B tested a new brand, I'll run like an add to cart campaign and a purchase campaign. And like the purchase campaign just like won't perform, or it'll do really poorly because it just doesn't know who is the right person to convert. Also, it's important if you think you might ever run TikTok ads, go ahead and put that pixel on your site and start collecting data. Just if you think you ever might want to do that, because TikTok the pixel needs a lot of data. So like take that as you will, but like the more data, the better. And I think like with TikTok, broader is generally better. Bigger audiences are generally better. There's just so much content to take in on TikTok, and there's so much scrolling. And so the algorithm and the pixel really needs to know who the hell to target, because there's just so many options. And so being able to go from add to cart or view content to add to cart, initiate checkout, and then purchase really helps the algorithm figure out who is trying to convert.
In a cookieless world, I mean, like, we talk about the pixel and collecting the data. On-platform data is going to be much more important. So when they're watching the videos, how long they're spending on it, and they're buying on TikTok Shops, all of that data comes and collects in that one profile. So that's going to be a lot more important. Like in a cookieless world, obviously, does TikTok have CAPI or anything like that? I don't know, but it's
not sure.
Yeah, it's not easily available for sure, but it's certainly something that, in the cookieless world, we're starting to learn a bit more about, on-platform data and how important that actually is. You mentioned there about lookalikes and things like that. What kind of custom audiences are you doing in TikTok?
That's a great question. I'm doing a lot of like broad and auto targeting on TikTok, which is not targeting. They obviously don't have like ASC, but they do have auto targeting, which is essentially like their version of just like, let us take it from here. I've done some lookalikes. They do okay, not like crazy good. They also don't have a ton of scale. So if I have had success with lookalikes, it'll be for like a week or two. Okay. But like, and like reps will tell you like, oh, you should try like a broad lookalike, but like they're okay. Worth testing. It depends. But I really don't see a ton of success with retargeting on TikTok. Generally, I leave retargeting for Meta. Like you really need to think of TikTok as like prospecting, first time heard of you, like very, very top of funnel. Reps will tell you to like try retargeting. Don't try retargeting. Like don't do it.
Just leave it.
Just leave it.
Version of reach ads.
Yes. Don't try that. So mostly top of funnel. A lot of broad, a lot of auto targeting, and then a lot of like interest targeting. So you can do interest, you can do like intent to purchase, like shopping type interests. You can do like behaviors. A lot of times I'll do like broad, but with like a like gender or age constraint to try to like give the algorithm a little bit more direction. But yeah, most of my accounts have maybe two, maybe 3 campaigns running, different versions of broad. Maybe one is auto targeting. One is maybe like totally broad, or like broad with like a gender constraint. And then one might be like an interest ABO. Maybe have 2 different like interest types there. Nice. Definitely, obviously test it, always be testing, try different things, see what works. But then a lot of times too, like I'll still, even if I have a brand running Shops ads, a lot of times I'll still run like regular ads alongside that. So like right now I have a brand, I'm doing 2 campaigns for Shops ads and then 1 like D2C campaign, where it goes to their website, because you obviously can't mix and match those. The Shops ads generally do better. However, I will say that, obviously with Shops ads, you're not losing any data if you are, in like a cookieless world. If you're purchasing on platform, that's like why Meta shops and TikTok shops are a thing, because we lost data. And so they're trying to keep that data in-house. So with TikTok shops, the data looks better. So you're like, oh, this is so great. We're doing so well. One, you're not losing data, but also a lot of people on TikTok they'll exit the TikTok app and go search for you on Amazon. And it's really hard to prove that. But like for the one brand that I started ads for 7 months ago, brand new brand, no one had ever heard of it. It was a new category on Amazon. They were the first product in like this new category on Amazon. And so there was no one searching for it. And so that's like a really cool case study to show that people were exiting Meta or TikTok and going and searching for it on Amazon. And they've had like hundreds of thousands of dollars in Amazon sales now, and they've never ran Amazon ads. It's all coming from people exiting a social platform and then wanting like free shipping or like more legitimacy of like a new brand and going and getting it on Amazon. So that's like hard to track, but it's definitely something that's happening. I actually was talking to a brand yesterday and I was like, I need either like Amazon access or I need Amazon reports, because I need to know, I'm trying to figure out the correlation between starting to run ads and like your Amazon pickup and like how it's improved in performance. And they said, yep, totally can do. Actually, when we started running ads, we noticed like a significant uptick in our Amazon performance, and we were wondering why. They're kind of like new to D2C. And I was like, I needed to know this information. Why didn't you tell me this?
Tell me. That's
right. And so,
client out there, talk to your agents, tell them this information so they can make the changes.
Right. And so you can't track that, but it's so people do that. Like I find myself leaving TikTok to be like, oh, are they on Amazon? My mom, I was talking to her a couple of weeks ago and she was like, and I was like, oh, here's a product. I sent it to her on TikTok shops. And she was like, okay, let me look for that. And she went and started like looking on Amazon. And I was like, I sent you the link to the product, the exact link. And she was like, no, I'm searching it on Amazon. And that's just like a way that consumers are acting. And it's just very normal. So kind of think about that too, whenever someone's like, what's the marketing impact of like, what's the ROAS of this one channel? Yeah. TikTok might be breaking even. It's very, very normal for TikTok to break even. I tell most of my clients, if TikTok shows a 1x ROAS in platform, then we're good and we should keep scaling. Yeah. Because like different than Meta, TikTok, like it's so different because they're leaving and they're Googling it. You'll see your branded search go up. You'll see your non-branded search go up. If they're like, oh, I saw this candle lamp and they search candle lamp on Google, you'll see your branded search go up, your non-branded search, and your Amazon go up when you start running TikTok ads.
Interesting. Because that's one of the things that we're seeing at the moment is that a lot of people are trying to justify the spend on TikTok because, hey, I'm getting a 0.5 on TikTok shops. What's going on? It's like they ain't buying there. They're seeing it. They're going through. They're looking. Look at the amount of time they spend on TikTok shops, and look at your sales on your site. All of a sudden, your site's gone up. Why is that?
They're like, oh, people are just going directly to my site, and I'm like, literally no one types in your website to see if there's a brand called whatever.
Yeah.
Literally no one in the history of ever has ever done that.
But I think that's so funny because you guys talk about like Lyft and like how do I approve Lyft? But I actually found like the other way. Like sometime I had a client one time who told me the same thing. Like, I don't know if it's giving me Lyft. I don't know if it's I was like, turn it off. I dare you.
I dare you.
I dare you.
And, it's like that TikTok, turn it off.
Yeah.
Try it.
And I did. And it happened like by accident one time. It happened by accident. Their payment method failed. And then all of a sudden they called me frantically and they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I looked and I was like, ads are off. They're like, Amazon is dead. Like all these other channels are dead. I wonder why.
What is happening?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's interesting. That's mad. That's it's so funny how we talk about top of funnel impact and everything else like that. And people are like, I can't measure it. It's like, well, measure it by turning it off. See what happens.
Yeah. F around and find out.
Now we're talking. Yeah, you got questions.
So tell me what are we talked about TikTok Shop. We talked about the benchmark being one. What are common gotchas? Like what are common like sticking points that you see when people are starting to go more and more into TikTok ads?
It's a great question. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people just like think that it's going to be this like magic new platform that's just going to be so successful because they hear so many success stories. Yeah. And I think with TikTok, like it is a little bit of the long game, and it's not going to be for everyone. TikTok is just so nuanced, and you really have to like lean into what is going on right now. And like TikTok changes so quickly. And so that's why we say like, don't create content that's like trendy for ads. You can create it for organic and like, that's fine. But if you're going to create it for ads, like you really need to be able to like have the ability to let it like be successful and run for a few weeks or a few months. It's a big lump with knobs. It has the juice, and they're like making these ads, and it's like they're still running those like 6 months later, and it was like, oh honey, that's old. That's really old. And so a lot of times brands will like want to like get on that, like get on whatever bandwagon is going. Yeah. But I think like it's smarter to like take a step back and like think about it more holistically. I think I learned that in undergrad was like be a student of the platform and like figure out what makes you, kind of we talked about earlier, what makes you shop, what makes you click, what makes you read comments, what makes you do these things. Because like a lot of my brands, I'm in the target persona. Like I would buy things. I'm, you know, a millennial woman with a job who has, you know, expendable income. So like, of course, brands want me to buy their things. So like, what am I doing? What's making me do that? Or like, I'll ask my friends or my parents or my sister or whoever. And I'm like, sometimes people, they'll send me ads that they like, and they're like, this made me click. And so I know that you do that for a living. And so like, I wanted to send it to you, and I'll ask them, why did you click? What did you like about it? Yeah. And they're like, oh, I didn't know you were going to like quiz me. But I think it's like so important, like for yourself and then other people that are around you that are in different customer personas, what makes them click? What makes them click? What makes them interested? What makes them, and most of the time it's so subconscious. No one knows. But if you start to think about it and start to kind of like question yourself, why did I do that? And then start to make content or create content or ask creators to make content according to like those things. And as you start to pay attention to like that type of like consumer psychology and your own psychology, it's like such an unlock to understanding why people are doing what they're doing. So yeah, I think the biggest like gotcha is just like, it's not going to work for everyone. Shops is not going to work for every brand, but like it's important to test it, try it. Don't be afraid to test it. Even if it's with a small budget, test it.
Yeah. So with the long game, so you're saying it's a long game, you should try it out. Maybe it won't work for everybody. So how much should they look to put in? Like how many AOVs before they, you know, they call and they say, hey, look, I don't think this is for me. Or like, you know, how many AOVs do they need to spend, or how much time do they need to spend before, you know, you have a good sense of it?
It's a great question. My first answer is it depends. But to be more specific, so we kind of talked about like a minimum spend. Generally, I like to spend at a minimum $100 a day, which is $3,000 a month. So that's kind of like a first entry to the game. Do you have $3,000? And then I think it depends on like what type of data is coming in. It depends on like if you have a high AOV product or a low AOV product. Is it an impulse buy, or is it going to take a week to purchase it, or is it going to take 28 days or 90 days? I ran ads for a brand in the past, and it was like a high-end fashion brand. And once we got into our post-purchase survey data, we found that they had found out about the brand 90 to 120 days before they made their first purchase. And so we were like, whoa, guys, this is why like, you know, like prospecting is really hard. That's why we're at a 2x when you guys want to be at a 5x. Yeah. But like people are thinking about it, because people aren't going to spend $300 on a sweater that they just heard about. It's going to take them time. They're going to get on the email list and they're going to be like, oh, I want it, but I don't need it. Oh, this is really cool. Oh, look, they're running a sale. Let me try it out. And back to like, you know, TikTok specifically, like $3,000 a month. Usually I think like a 3-month period would be a really good time frame. It also depends on seasonality, because a lot of brands or some brands are more seasonal. So whether it's like ski gear or like swimwear, or it's a gifting brand. And so I think that really matters. Of like when you're starting it. This one's probably more of a 95 to 98% of the time. I say like if we're at a 1x on TikTok, you're doing fine. You're winning. And look and see what the MER looks like. And as long as you can like operate on the MER, like just because you're going to lose data with TikTok, they're not going to purchase same day. They're going to leave and Google it, and it's going to look like a Google or branded search conversion. Yeah. So there's so many other variables with TikTok, and just people aren't necessarily in the purchasing shopping mindset when they're on TikTok, especially if it's not like a very cheap impulse buy.
Yeah, sure. So smart. Think about where the people are buying versus where they're seeing it, and
think about what you're doing. Like if you see a product and you're like, this is so cool, but the shipping is going to take 7 days and it's $4.99. Let me just see if it's on Amazon. And you go over to Amazon and it's the same price and you get it tomorrow and it's free shipping. I also would buy from Amazon.
Yeah.
They're humans. You're selling to humans. Be a
Yeah.
human.
Hey, of course I'm gonna save money and get it faster. Duh.
Love that.
1x is your benchmark. Is that like so your answer is always it depends. So my response is
You're learning.
most of the time. Most of the time, what 1x is generally your benchmark. Is that right?
Yeah. And two, like brands are like, no, my margin is like way different. Like I need to be at like a 3x. Like, look at the full lift. I think TikTok is so much more impactful on like your overall lift, overall MER. Like look at what it looks like if you were to, and maybe that is a good plan to do 3 months of TikTok and then turn it off and be like, what's happening?
Okay, guys, that's all we got time for. Thanks for checking in. We talked through so much. Went through TikTok shops, what you should be doing, how you should be getting content for it. We talked all about kind of what's working and how you can actually make this work and get on the platform. And then thinking about all the journey from people seeing it to people actually checking out. So it's been a pleasure having you guys here. I'm Tris.
I'm Edwin.
Courtney.
I'll see you guys next time. Thanks a million.